How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Fame, and we are back with another FPL live stream for the Gameweek 13 deadline stream. I made 2 free transfers this week, and hopefully we can breach the top 1K. We're in unseen and uncharted territory, and hopefully we can continue on a good path and not end up going down the dark paths, which make us go back up in rank rather than down in rank. Or vice versa, up in rank, down in rank, however which way you want it. We want a lower number, not a higher number at the end of the day. We're going to take a look at the team, how we've set up. We're also going to take a look at some future transfers. We're going to take a look at the goals in the table, captaincy, who to captain against as well. Yeah, the usual stuff. Deadline stream is going to be pretty chill, and it's going to be a quick turnaround as well. So we'll talk about how that potentially impacts some players and whatnot. So yeah, without further ado, let's talk about Fantasy Football Scout. Had to just unplug my headset there. But yeah, Fantasy Football Scout's great. Fantasy Football Scout, you can get access to the exclusive members area. I think they're doing potentially a Black Friday Cyber Monday sale this weekend. I'm not entirely sure on that, but if they are, then you get the 20% off, as you can see up the top. So that would be the same as the preseason offer, which is quite nice. So yeah, make sure to check that out. You're going to see some of the stats tables in the stream today, and they're great. You can fully customize them to however which way you want, and it allows you to make better informed decisions as well. So make sure to check that out. And yeah, it's going to help elevate your FPL game. It certainly helped mine this season for sure, the more and more I've used it. So yeah, let's take a look at how the team's going to line up. Alright, team's up on the screen. Just going to increase the music just a touch here. Just a touch. Right. Righty-ho, righty-ho. But yeah, 1008th in the world out of over 8.6 million managers is mental. It's just insane. I'm super excited to see how the season's going to pan out, but this time of the season is where things start to get interesting, because there's more game weeks back to back to back to back. So I'm just going to bring up one of the schedules off to the side here, so you can kind of get a context as to what we're dealing with here. So I'll take Chelsea's fixtures as an example, because Chelsea, I believe, are still in the Carabao Cup. So if you bring out your calendars, you'll be able to potentially follow along. So Chelsea and Man United play tomorrow, which is a Sunday. Then Chelsea play in midweek for game week 14 versus Watford. Then they play West Ham on the weekend on the Saturday. So they go Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. Then they have Zenit in midweek, which they're all they have to do is just beat them, but the Chelsea squad's big enough to do it. But they're midweek on Wednesday. Then they play Saturday versus Leeds, which is always going to be fun to run around. Then they play Everton 5 days later on the 16th. Then they play Wolves on the 19th. In midweek. Then they play Brentford in the quarterfinal on the 22nd. Then they play on Boxing Day on the 26th. They then play 3 days later versus Brighton. And then they play on the 29th. And then they play Liverpool. I almost said they play Chelsea. Play themselves? No. They play Liverpool on the 2nd of January. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games in a span of around a month, basically. So they're basically playing a game every 3 days from now until January. Two of which should be a little bit easier. One being the quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup versus Brentford, and one being Zenit, which all they have to do is just kind of win to ensure that they're definitely top of the group, or just match whatever Juventus do versus Malmo. But I think they'll probably beat Malmo, to be honest. So yeah, and if you're not in the Carabao Cup, it's 9 fixtures, so it's still just as bad. So yeah, it's going to be rough. So there is going to be rotation. So for some players, it's going to be more difficult than others. And for the likes of Liverpool players, as an example, there is a possibility that we could see the likes of Salah and Mane just be played every game. Maybe benched once because they have the African Cup of Nations coming up. So that's something that they could potentially have an eye on. But Klopp knows that when he loses them, um, he wants to be in the best possible position. So I think it's after the Leicester game, they have the African Cup of Nations, which isn't ideal because they played Chelsea the first game with Salah and Mane not there. So it's going to be very difficult for Klopp. If he gets a point out of that, he's laughing. But then they have Brentford, Crystal Palace, Leicester, and Burnley. I think these are the games approximately what they're going to miss. I think maybe depending on when they get knocked out, they'll be back in time for the Norwich game. But Jota will be a mainstay in the team. He's part of Europe. He's part of Portugal. And they have their qualifiers, which they got drawn up against Italy. If they both win their games, they have to play each other. See who gets in the World Cup, which is crazy. So yeah, he's going to be a very important in that run. And then you have the likes of Watford as an example. They lose half their team going into the African Cup of Nations. So again, you might see a lot more Josh King and Dennis and those sorts of players being played now over the Christmas period, even if it is every 3 days, just to get the most maximum use out of them. Josh King won't be going to the African Cup of Nations, but Dennis will. Josh King will be the one that suffers because it's Dennis and Sarr and a bunch of others that are going to be going, and he's going to be left all on his lonesome, so he might do well now, but I don't think Watford's fixtures are all that good, particularly, all things considered. But I think that if you're going to pick a cheaper forward, I think Josh King is definitely viable if he's going to be one that's going to be on your bench as well. The fixtures from Game Week 16 to Game Week 19 are nice, and that's before the African Cup of Nations. And then you're looking at like this period here, where he has Norwich and Newcastle in there, so you might get some returns even with a depleted squad. So not too bad. So I do like the pick itself. As for what transfers we've made this week, so we've made 2 free transfers, as you can see up on the graphic. That way. Up in the top right, transfers made this week 2 out of 2. We only made just the one last week with the Guaita transfer in for Fernandez, with the Z, the Brentford goalkeeper. He's going to be on a bench this week because I think Ramsdale probably has a more likely chance of getting a clean sheet. And the 2 players we've taken out Ben Chilwell. He was going to go down in price last night, so we decided to do the move early because if he would have dropped in price, we would have lost 0.1 sell value on him. So we sold him. We also sold Mbeumo, who had been... there's no words to say. A yawn is probably about apt for Mbeumo's FPL returns. But probably not for his stats and his performance, to be honest, because he struck the post, 7 times this season or something crazy. So we still do have Tony. I don't think it's mandatory to have double Brentford. Mind you, Mbeumo could do well. They have Leeds and Watford and Southampton coming up. That look to be, decent fixtures. Everton. But I think with this new system change, Mbeumo is going to be playing a lot more out on the wing rather than as like a kind of a strike partner. So I think that Tony benefits from that a lot more. So we've got him in there. But the 2 players we've taken out is Chilwell and Mbeumo, and we've brought in Alonso and Jota, which is quite nice. And that leaves us in this position here with 1 free transfer coming next week, which we're hoping to roll if there's no injuries, and 3 million in the bank. Which is quite nice. So that's going to put us in good stead. This week, as you can see, we got Ramsdale in goal over Guaita. I think it's slight favored in Ramsdale. Because I think that if Newcastle try to attack Arsenal at home, they're going to probably get hit on the break, which Arsenal would like for them to do, is to try to attack them, because then they can get space in behind with Smith Rowe and Aubameyang and these sorts of players, and they could go up 2-3-0, and then Newcastle would just be kind of decimated basically. Cancelo, Trent, James, and Alonso, our new signing here. I just think it just makes sense to bring in Alonso. Tough to say who to play over Alonso or Diaz, to be, perfectly honest. But I think Alonso, Reece James, doesn't matter if they're playing United, which is my club anyway. They're at home. Chelsea are playing well. I think just play them. They're more likely to have an attacking return too. I still think City are going to concede today too, or tomorrow when they play in the 2 o'clock fixtures. So I think you just play them. Smith Rowe, Jota, Rafinha, Salah captain, obviously. Jimenez with the vice captaincy, and Tony up front. I've got Diaz first sub. Maybe put St. Maximin first sub. But I think Diaz is probably more likely of a clean sheet than St. Maximin is to probably score, I would think. I could be wrong on that, but I've just kind of gone with Diaz just because, whatever. If there's someone that's likely to be potentially rotated, James, or who knows, maybe even Alonso might not play. Transfer is technically risky because he didn't come on in midweek, but Tuchel came afterwards and said felt sorry for Alonso because normally I would have just brought him on because direct replacement for Chilwell, but Azpilicueta had already been warmed up and ready to go, so I don't expect Azpilicueta to be playing at left wing back. Also, I noticed the Rainbow Laces borders here. I think it's a great campaign. I think definitely support it. Hopefully they do a zoom in on actual on the players' boots, because I know the players will have the rainbow armband as well. If my memory serves me correctly, it's a campaign for basically to say footballs for everyone, which is a fantastic campaign. And it's going to be interesting to see if some players go with like a lime green, yellow, or pink boots, and they have rainbow laces. It's going to be quite out there, quite tie-dye looking, which is always fun. How unmatched can your boots look from your kit? That's what I would go for. But yeah, getting back to the team itself, like I said, it pretty much plays itself. Maybe the bench, slightly different order, but nothing really too crazy involved there. Like I said, for the transfers, we did the 2. Alonso came in for Chilwell, and Jota in for Mbeumo. I could have gone with Sadio Mane, but again, that would have meant that I would have had to deal with 2 players out for potential whoever for the African Cup of Nations, and that would have been probably a bit tricky to do. Because the only real players that I would have gone for that are premium in midfield right now is literally Salah and Mane. So it is going to be a bit tricky further down the road. So I decided to go with Jota, knowing that he could come in. And Kane, although did show me something, I put him on the buy, hold, sell list to buy this week. But I just thought, still not something quite right. The loss in midweek as well in the Europa Conference League. Just not fully convinced as of yet. Hey Mono, how's it going? Let's see. So you got a team there. You got Ramsdale, Trent, James, Cancelo, Duffy. Who does Duffy play? Leeds. That's probably fine. Salah, Jota, Gallagher, Mbeumo, Kane, Antonio with subs of Foster, Antonio, Livramento, and Brownhill. Me personally, I would probably play Antonio over Duffy. That's just me personally, because I think Leeds will score. I'd play Antonio over Duffy. Yeah, he's against City, but I think if there's anyone that's going to harry City's backline, it's going to be like Bowen or Antonio or somebody like that. And Antonio, I mean, we can look at his numbers. I got rid of him in Gameweek 8, I think. Yeah, that would have been when I wildcarded. And since which, he's only scored once, but knowing typical FPL where everyone's benching him and that sort of stuff, I just feel like Antonio's just going to probably end up scoring in a game where he probably shouldn't. Like, I'm looking at these fixtures here, Man City, Brighton, Chelsea, and I'm thinking, he's probably not going to score here. He's going to score on these ones, though. And he'll end up probably scoring probably a couple over this time when people bench him and stuff, so we'll see. That's just my opinion. Duffy is also a threat. I mean, yeah, it's possible, but again, do we want to play a center back and rely on them to have set pieces, or do we want to potentially have a player that can get an attack in return that's potentially due one, because of the amount of times he's blanked in a row? I don't know. It would be a tough decision for me personally, if I had those two. Excuse me, can't stop yawning. Hi, Nike. 1986, Zaha, Tony, or Mount? If that's to play, it's a bit tricky actually, now that I think about it. I think probably Tony or Zaha, because Mount's not guaranteed to start technically. I think you probably have to back Tony, to be honest. I think it's tough between Tony and Zaha. Both have a home fixture, but I think Tony's opposition is weaker, but I also think his team is weaker as well. That's just me thinking out loud there. Like, I think probably Zaha has a similar-ish fixture to Rafinha. And would I play Rafinha over Tony? Maybe? I think Palace are at home, but Aston Villa looking to be a bit more defensive, which means Zaha might have less space. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I think probably Tony for me just shades it just because of his opposition. I think Palace are a better team than Brentford at the moment, but I think that Brentford makes up for the fact that they're playing Everton, who are much worse, and they literally could not be more depleted. I mean, if we look at where's Everton? Like Mina is got an injury, Holgate's injured or suspended rather. Gray could be out. Decore is still out, I think. Alan could be injured. I mean, they just have injuries all over the place. They're just all over the place. So I would say just Tony, and that's also noting the formation shift as well, because Tony's playing in a front as the front man in a front three in a 3-4-3 rather than as a front two, and being more of the big man and the big man small man dynamic with Mbeumo up front. So I think that opens up more goal scoring opportunities for Tony, which is what we want. Whereas Zaha could potentially be stuck on crossing duty, maybe. And with Aston Villa, they would love for you to cross the ball, because of Tyra Mings and Courtney House and what's the other one? Emre Konza. So thinking of the others, Axel Tuanzebe as well. They're all very, very tall, very, very athletic, very good at defending aerial threats, basically. So yeah, that's what I think. No problem. But yeah, that is a tough decision. That is definitely a tougher decision. Yeah, so I think that with the team as it currently stands, we can look towards potentially still keeping an eye on Kane, see how United do after this week, because it seems like Ralph Rangnick is probably going to come in for the Arsenal fixture, which is still a quick turnaround because we have Saturday, Sunday games, and then we have games on Tuesday. With I think it's Newcastle play somebody else. Newcastle play Norwich and Leeds play somebody. Can't remember who it is, I think. Can't remember who it is. Also, thank you for the follow, Nike. Much appreciated. So yeah, it's going to be a quick turnaround for some of these guys. And some will have obviously had the week off because of no Europe. That's another thing as well, is Ivan Toney is more likely to play 90 minutes than all three of those guys, probably, out of Zaha himself and Mount. Mount is definitely susceptible to a sub because Thomas Tuchel will sub anyone. Zaha is probably going to get 90 minutes when he plays, but Tony's definitely going to get 90 minutes when he plays. Taking off Tony would be like taking off Ramsdale. Just because. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It just literally doesn't make sense. Unless they're injured or whatever, then in which case, then yeah, sure. So let's take a look at the captaincy against table. So this is a table from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. Let me just adjust it a little bit here. So this is one of the tables that I've made myself. It's basically a carbon copy of what FF Scout Joe puts on for the Scoutcast. And it is called the what's called the Whipping Boys table, which is basically just the teams that are crap in defense, basically. So we've organized this for the last 4 game weeks played, and it's organized with goal attempts in the box conceded, big chances conceded, XG conceded, headed attempts conceded, goals conceded, and clean sheets. So as you look further down the table, you can see that there's more clean sheets towards the bottom and less clean sheets towards the top, because we've organized it by XG conceded. So this is, they amalgamate all the shots that their goal mouth has basically faced, and they say that United over the last 4 game weeks is expected to have conceded just over 8 goals. And how many goals have they conceded? They've conceded 11. So you probably would say, they've been a bit unlucky, you would say, but typically that's kind of how it goes. Teams that have high XG conceded probably concede more goals than what they should have anyway. Whereas if you look at the likes of Man City as an example down the bottom, XG conceded 2.94, pretty much bang on. 3 goals conceded, 2.94. Whereas you look at the likes of, let's say, Crystal Palace, 3.05 XG conceded, but they've conceded 4 goals. So they've probably been slightly unlucky there as well. Then you look at the likes of Wolves as an example, 5.57 XG conceded, so maybe 5.5 to 6 goals that they should have conceded, but they've only conceded 4, which shows that their goalkeeper potentially, or their defense is doing good enough to whereas they're potentially making it easier to save more critical shots basically on goal, and allowing them to keep the ball out of the back of the net. Although they've only had 1 clean sheet in that time, which is not ideal, but definitely some encouraging numbers. So it seems like Wolves concede probably around 1 a game, but they don't concede any more than that, so they're not going to get like absolutely drummed basically. Whereas you look at like Brentford as an example, 6.36 XG conceded, but they've conceded 10. So they look like a team that's just going to be like, yeah, we're going to attack you, you're going to attack us, whoever comes out with the most goals wins, basically. Which is a very interesting way to play the game. Which is why Brentford's exciting to watch. So yeah, if we also sort it by big chances conceded, United are still second worst. Everton's at the top, which is why I think Tony is also someone who is quite should be quite good. And Everton's also second on the XG conceded. So they basically just flip when you change the big chances to the XG conceded as well. If you look at down the bottom, this is why, people, different managers were saying that maybe we don't captain Salah this week. But I think Salah at home, you gotta kind of expect some form of return. If he blanks, he blanks. I mean, whatever. But they're playing Southampton, who have a 2.60 XG conceded and conceded 4 goals. So you can definitely say that they've been unlucky, for sure, because they should have conceded at least 1 less goal than what they've shown from the stats. But they do have 2 clean sheets over that time. So definitely Ralph Hasenhutl's team will be very, very solid. Look to move the ball quick, and it could be a very exciting game between Liverpool and Southampton in Merseyside. So that is something to consider. So it looks like the 2 worst defenses are Man United and Everton, where some of the better ones is Man City, Southampton, and Chelsea. But when you have a situation where you have someone so good, like if you just look at, let's just look at, like Salah has 125 points this season over 12 game weeks. That means if he continues on the path that he's going, he could potentially knock 400 points, which is bonkers. Like when he had the crazy season, where was it? Here, 2017-18, with 303 points. He had 32 goals and 12 assists. Like he's on track to get 33 goals, 24 assists or something if you just triple. And if he literally does this for the whole season, which I don't expect him to do, he's only blanked once in the first 12 game weeks. He's probably going to revert to type a little bit, I would say. But I mean, he's just been on a different planet. When you have someone like him who's doing so well versus a team that's playing so well defensively, like Southampton, then it's a bit tricky to say, well, who's going to win that battle. Me personally, I'm going to side with Salah because, 1, I always side with the attacker in most cases. But 2, Southampton's, the teams that they've played over the past several weeks haven't been the stiffest competition, let's say. So if we look at McCarthy, Norwich, Villa, when Dean Smith was still in charge, Watford and Burnley, you can expect them to do well, I would say. Hey, how's it going? Hopefully you got your FPL team all sorted. Still got just over 30 minutes or so until the deadline, so plenty of time. Just gonna check Twitter to see if there's anything interesting for any lineup news or anything of that sort. Let's see. Yeah, people are joking about the weather in Liverpool apparently, because there was reports that it would be it'd be called off potentially because of the really bad weather. And people are making jokes that the scenes at Liverpool make it seem like it's some type of crazy weather or something like that. But apparently it's just a bit windy, a bit cold. They had a storm go through last night. So, yeah, I think it should be fine. Kane a good vice captain? I would say so. I think Kane's probably fine. I've got Jimenez. Half tempted to just put on Cancelo, to be honest. Half tempted. But I think Jimenez versus Norwich probably looks good, to be honest. Hey, you know what? Why not? Let's put it on Cancelo. Let's go for it. Liverpool game gets called off. We'll have Cancelo captain. It'll be fun times. I mean, if Liverpool don't play, then it could be, yeah, it could be real crazy. Just in case the Liverpool game is being called off, I think everyone's over exaggerating the weather. Like if I bring up the, where is it to? Anfield weather. Anfield, the game is being played at 3 p.m. So I'm going to go to 3 p.m. Okay, well, I'll do the weather at... I got the weather at 4 p.m. Wind. 26 miles an hour. So at 2 p.m. it's 25 mile an hour winds. It ain't anything out of the ordinary. For England, to be honest. But yeah, if you were traveling to the game, traveling the night before would have probably been better. For sure. Bought in Chilwell in and out of my team for a -8 this game week. Early transfers didn't pay off. Yikes. Yeah. That's why I try to save my transfers as much as I can until the end of the week. I tried to go early last season as well, and I think I got burnt once as well. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. But yeah, that does suck. But you live and you learn. I can understand if you had looked at it and been like, the transfer I want to make is exact money and somebody's going up in price or something like that. Then I can understand going there, because that doesn't happen very often where somebody gets injured like that. Who would you sell first, Mbeumo or Townsend? I would sell Townsend first, because I think Everton are just terrible at the moment. They're just not good. Like if we look at where's Townsend? Yeah, Townsend. You know, they have Brentford away today, but I mean their squad's so depleted. I mean they could easily lose 5-5. Liverpool, Arsenal, Palace, Chelsea, Leicester. They can get beaten by all of them. Mind you, this run of fixtures is very good, and hopefully Calvert-Lewin's back for that, because that could open up some avenues. That'd be nice. But, you know, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I'd get rid of Townsend first. Personally, I think Mbeumo is still good for this week. He has the home fixture versus Everton. Fixtures are still okay for a little bit longer. But don't be surprised if excuse me, if Mbeumo gets subbed or rotated a little bit more than Townsend, because I think that's definitely possible. Because with the injuries, I think Townsend's going to play 90 minutes every week if he's fit. Selling him for Gallagher? Yep. That seems good, personally. I think that's probably a much better midfielder at the moment. I think Palace's fixtures are very, very good. If you have the funds to go to Gallagher, I would definitely say that probably makes sense. Crystal Palace's fixtures are good right up until the end of December. Then they have a little bit of a rocky patch, and then they're, you know, all things considered, pretty good until basically the end of the season. So yeah. The thing that I'm interested in is to see what happens when Eze and Elise are in the team and who is the most threatening there. Because now that Gallagher is 6.1, Elise is 5.4, or 5.5, whatever it is, and Eze is around like 5.96 million as well. It's gonna be really interesting to see which Palace asset you go for because they're all around the same price. Benteke is like 6.5, 6.6. Eze is like 5.9 or 6. Gallagher's now 6.1. They're all very similarly priced, so it's gonna be intriguing to see what kind of things shake up there. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do because they play quite well. Very exciting team to watch. VR's got them playing nice football. Got exact money in the bank for the Switch. Sounds like a winner then. That's usually FPOI. They're telling you one of two things. Do it now, or this seems too perfect to be true and it ends up failing. One of the two. Usually it's the former. But yeah, I haven't owned Gallagher all season, but he's been doing quite well. Um, I didn't think Palace were going to be all that great. I thought it was like too many young players, and then they wouldn't do well. But you can see that Gallagher does. He's got a lot of his points recently as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see once they have everyone fit who plays and what their roles are. You brought in Alonso. I mean, I brought in Alonso because I think that he's probably gonna replace Ben Chilwell, ain't he? That's usually how it works. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I have to go back and look, but it's very tedious to do. I'm pretty sure there hasn't been a time where both Ben Chilwell and or Alonso have been fit, and neither of them have started. With maybe one occasion, like you said there, with Emerson coming in once. But that could have been like a dead rubber game, which no one cared about. I mean, you can't even pick Emerson here. So I don't know how he's going to play. Didn't he go on loan somewhere? Emerson, Chelsea. Emerson Palmieri. Where did he go? Where did he go? That's loud. Oh, he went on loan to Lyon. That's where he went. That makes sense. Yeah, so he's on loan. So literally the only left back that they have at the club right now is Alonso. Nobody else can play left back. Or left wing back, rather. I mean, they could play someone auxiliary there, but which out of the midfielders would you play there? Kovacic? Well, I mean, he's injured, so no. Mount, no. Havertz, no. Jorginho and Conte play in the central roles. Hudson-Odoi could play left wing back, but highly unlikely. Loftus-Cheek plays centrally. Pulisic could play left wing back, but he'd probably more likely play right wing back. Ziyech, no. Barkley, no. Saul, no. People are saying Aspie. I mean, Azpilicueta did come in. But the only reason Thomas Tuchel said he came in was because Azpilicueta was literally warmed up, stripped down, ready to go on the pitch. And they were going to take off Reece James to rest him. after they were up 3-0 or whatever. And then Chilwell literally got injured. So they were just like, whatever. Just put on Azpilicueta for Chilwell. And he even said after the game he was like apologetic to the fact that Alonso should have probably come on, but Azpilicueta was literally there, all ready to go, and he just said, the game's done already, so I'll just bring him on, just whatever. But if Alonso follows in the same train or the same like thought process of how Chilwell played, I think Alonso will do quite well. Chilwell was getting in the box, he was getting shots off. I think Chilwell was getting in the box. Wait until you see what Alonso does. You see this, so everyone can see the box here. Let me put it to this one. This box here, right? You have Chelsea's wingbacks are typically like high and wide. When the ball's on this side with Reece James, Alonso's going to be like here. I'm not even exaggerating. This will be Alonso's like heat map. He'll be in here. Like it's crazy how far up he gets. And he has Antonio Rudiger to cover that side as well, so you know, they should be fine. And the one nice thing is that on that side of the, typically Rashford doesn't play on that side of the pitch, he'll play on the left-hand side. So it would be Reece James's side that Rashford would be breaking on, but Reece James is quick enough to get back. So if Tuchel thinks that United are going to go with Rashford on the left-hand side, he might revert James to a right-sided centre-back, play Aspie right wing-back, and then go with Alonso on the left-hand side. Because Azpilicueta is good enough to, to make deliveries into the box. But I mean, you could also play Azpilicueta right-sided centre-back too. He could play Christensen in there. He could play whoever. He has so many different options. His team's super flexible, to be honest. And that's kind of the issue when you go up against Chelsea, because they can put a bunch of different players in defense. They can put a few different players in midfield. The front three can be different from game week to game week. Like Timo Werner could start this week easily. That's a problem. They could start Lukaku. That's a completely different problem. They could play Havertz. That's another different problem. And then they still have Pulisic, Ziyech, Hudson-Odoi. Like, the team's ridiculous. Let's take a look at the goals imminent table quickly. So this is another table from the Fantasy Football Scout membership area. And this is over the last 4 game weeks. So basically what we do is we take the number of goals and goal attempts. We basically say how many, what players have been shooting a lot, but not necessarily been scoring. So we have Antonio Rudiger on there. He's had 10 goal attempts. He's missed a big chance, but he scored 1 goal. So potentially Rudiger might have more returns than what he should have, to be honest. And he's actually the highest on the delta on this one. We have Ivan Toney, potentially could have scored more as well. Adam Armstrong, Cristiano Ronaldo, maybe do a goal versus Chelsea today to ruin the clean sheets. Callum Wilson is another one. Kai Havertz, Dan James, Rashika, Bowen, and Aubameyang. But the interesting thing on this is that all of these players have actually scored over the last 4 game weeks. But Aubameyang is an example. He's had 4 big chances and missed 3 of them, which is not great. Havertz has had 3 and missed 2. Ronaldo's had 2 and missed 2, but he still scored. So Ronaldo can score from basically any chance he wants, basically. So, yeah, very, very interesting. So I'm glad to see that Tony's on there, which means hopefully he can score again. Bowen, someone we're looking at when the West Ham fixtures are good, is a very good price at the moment. And Antonio Rudiger, very solid. He got a goal last week, did well. If you had Antonio Rudiger, Chilwell, and Reece James, I mean, you were laughing last week. So, yeah, that is the goals imminent table. Just gonna quickly look at the like our future transfer plans. So, Antonio could potentially go down in price. So long term, if I were to, basically what I want long term, from game week 16 onwards, is I want Antonio here. I want Bowen here. I want Ronaldo here. And then I gotta find 2.9 million somewhere to fix it all. So that's 3 transfers. So we have Game Week 14, Game Week 15, and Game Week 16. So we have 3 frees in that time. So it's those 3 transfers there. And then I gotta find 2.9 million somewhere. So Diaz isn't enough, obviously. So that's 1 hit. If I wanted that, immediately. One thing I could do, if I didn't want Antonio immediately, I wanted to go for Bowen, because I think he's the better player. And get Antonio for game week 18. That would give me game week 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That gives me 5 transfers, so I don't have to take any hits technically to do it. So that could be Diaz down to Livramento. That still leaves me 1.5 million somewhere that I have to get rid of, basically, which is a bit tricky. So we'll kind of have to figure that out as we go. But yeah, that's kind of what I want. I want Bowen and Antonio in for these West Ham fixtures. This run looks really, really good for them. Maybe Jota comes out after game week 19. At that point, it's a bit late because we want Antonio in before that. If Jota's underperforming, then maybe we get rid of him, because then Liverpool's going to be also underperforming, because then Salah and Mane aren't going to be in the team. So he could potentially be the cash cow. Could also just be Tony that we drop down all the way to whoever. How much is Dennis? Dennis is 5'3", so not ideal. Let's see, 5'5". Forwards. So you have Dennis, Broha, Cucho, those sorts of players. Not the greatest, basically. We don't want to get Origi, because then we'll get locked into a Liverpool player, which is not what we want. So maybe it's just probably Keane and Davis. Then we'd have 0.7 million. So we can go from... We don't have to necessarily get rid of Diaz if we don't want to. If Ramsdale goes up 1 more, because we have him at... we got him at 4.5, so he goes up 1 more to 4.9, which he could potentially do by the start of next game week. Then we can sell him at 4.7, and if we do that, then we can just bring in a 4.0 goalkeeper like Steele or somebody like that. Just put in Steele. If Antonio goes down 1 more time, then we can get it as well. And that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 transfers, which is nice. So we basically roll this week. Next week, if because Ramsdale's fixtures are not ideal. They play United and West Ham in 2 out of the next 4. They do have Leeds and Norwich on a quick turnaround there, but Guaita's fixtures are also decent as well. Southampton, Watford, Everton, Leeds. They play similar-ish teams in that time. And I like Guaita a little bit more for save points. I think his defense is also probably on par with Arsenal's as well. But they're more entertaining to watch, and I don't really want to root on Arsenal, to be honest. Yeah, so maybe we roll Gameweek 15. We look to Gameweek 15. We'd keep Rafinha. We'd look to just bring in Ronaldo. So we do. Where's Ronaldo? We'd bring in Ronaldo and then take Ivan Toney out for Keenan Davis in game week 15. Ivan Toney does have 2 good fixtures, so that wouldn't be ideal. So maybe we would take out St. Maximin, who has Burnley and Leicester. St. Maximin versus Burnley and Leicester better than Ivan Toney versus Leeds and Watford. I would say probably not. So that would probably be the route we go. We can also, again, do the goalkeeper transfer in Game Week 15 as well, because that alleviates the funds. And we can keep going. And then we can basically keep Diaz up until and including Game Week 18, where these fixtures are still good. Yeah, he probably gets rotated, but if he stays in and gets clean sheets versus those teams, I think he should be fine. City's already top of their group in the Champions League, so they don't need to worry about that. They're out of the Carabao Cup, so they don't need to worry about that. So maybe Diaz plays more games, which would be nice. So the plan would be Game Week 14 roll, Game Week 15, Ronaldo in, and then St. Maximin to probably Keenan Davis. Down to Keenan Davis. Yes, it is a bit riskier because of the fact that the bench is slightly lighter, but we still have at least 2 solid subs, and Keenan Davis might get a run out. Who knows? Come on as a sub, maybe. You never know. Who knows? Then in game week 16, Rafinha's fixtures are bad, and they play Burnley. So I would probably bring in Bowen here. Continually rotating the goalkeepers. Game week 17, do nothing. And then in game week 18, we can do Tony to Antonio like we had intended, and then finally get rid of Ramsdale. And just bring in a 4.0. If we have extra money to bring in Foster, 4.1 if he's still at that price, then we can go for it. And then we're good. If we keep the goalkeepers and we need to downgrade Diaz, let's say Walker slightly better or something like that, or there's a defender at 4.5 that seems mandatory. Maybe Delo at 4.4, Lamptey 4.4 could be good. We could bring them in. And then we just play 5-3-2 or 4-4-2 every week basically. And then we go from there. Then we have double West Ham in place for the run. We have Ronaldo. Salah would then probably go in game week 20 or 21. Because of the fact that he's at African Cup of Nations. And we can look to, if United are looking good, like really good, towards the double up is worthy. Newcastle, Burnley, Wolves, Villa could be quite good. Maybe a Rashford, a Sancho comes in there. Spurs as well could be, decent over that time. You're looking at Crystal Palace, Southampton, Watford, Arsenal, and then Southampton the other side of Chelsea. We could just downgrade to Son and then go back up to Salah if we need to. We just need to make sure that we have a little bit extra money, because when we sell Salah, we lose value on him. Because Salah's currently 13 million. If we sell him, if Salah goes up to 13.1, then we get the extra 0.1. which would be nice. Um, and we just hope that Salah's price goes back down to what it was so that we can buy him back without having to spend any additional money. So that's something we're going to have to monitor um, and something we're going to have to keep tabs on. So yeah, that's kind of the future planning as it stands at the moment. Just a little bit of on-the-fly planning. Let's take a look at the captaincy before the deadline hits here. So we got 3.5 minutes or thereabouts. So basically what I've done is I've gone through all the fixtures this week and I said which fixtures are good. I've decided Brentford versus Everton is good. Leicester versus Watford. Man City is good for any fixture. Raul Jimenez, Wolves play Norwich. Chelsea play Man United. Man United play Chelsea. Liverpool versus Southampton as well. And I've organized this table. This is my Who to Captain table, again in the Fantasy Football Scout members area. And it's organized by expected goal involvement. And surprise, surprise, Salah's at the very top over the last 4 game weeks. Trent Alexander-Arnold and Sadio Mane are also up there as well. Diogo Jota in the top 5. If you look at down the bottom, Kane, Vardy, Tony, Son, these are not the players you want to be captaining, but you could potentially have them in your team. João Cancelo, Reece James are still doing decently in the table. Raul Jimenez is slightly higher than them as well, which is not too bad to see. Bernardo Silva, surprisingly, is quite high up as well. So if you went Bernardo Silva as a cheaper midfield option, that is another thing that you could have gone for as well. He's been ticking along quite nicely. Not necessarily an FPL asset last season, but has been this season. So I'm going to be going with Salah. I think it's pretty straightforward. If you think that Mane or Trent Alexander-Arnold are the best captains to go for, then you just go Salah, unless you don't have him, literally. So I think that's how it should be played. But if you do have the guts to go for somebody other than Salah, go for it. If you feel deep down that Salah is not necessarily the best captaincy choice, then go for somebody else. But I just can't see any fixtures that are standout. Like let's say if it was like last week where United were playing Watford, but they had their manager in or something like that, then you could say, okay, well maybe there's a case for Ronaldo here, or maybe Kane had just come off a brace against Leeds and he was playing Burnley this week or Norwich or whoever. You'd be like, okay, well maybe Kane might be a good shout, but I just think that Salah is by and away the best captain. So yeah, just under a minute now, so make sure you have your teams all in order. We're just going to run through the team one more time here. Make sure everything looks all nice. I got to get a new screenshot though of the team. With Cancelo as the vice captain. There we go. Got it all sorted. So, should be the deadline in about 10 seconds or so. So make sure your teams are in order. So we got Ramsdale in goal, Cancelo, Trent, James, Alonso, Smith Rowe, Salah captain, Jota, Rafinha, Jimenez, Tony, with Guaita, Diaz first sub, St. Maximin second sub, and Brownhill as the third sub. Cancelo is also the vice captain as well. So I believe that should be the deadline, and it is. So you can see all the stuff about all the different stuff that they put here. I really like this. It gives you a little bit of stuff to read while the site's down as well, which is quite nice. You can see at the top here, Jurgen Klopp wears his rainbow laces with pride today. So discover why. You can learn more about the Rainbow Laces campaign. So I'll probably take a look at that at some point today as well. So yeah. Make sure to check out all the social and that sort of stuff. But before we sign off, let's talk about Fantasy Football Scout one more time. So if you haven't done so already, check out Fantasy Football Scout. It's fantastic. It's going to help elevate your FPL game. It's going to give you insight. You saw some of the tables that were super, super informative with various different stats to help you analyze what you need to, when you want to, how often you want to. Just very, very convenient. So yeah, make sure to check that out. Like I said, I think they're doing a Black Friday sale, which is like basically the 20% off that you see up the top for the normal preseason discount. So check that out. It's going to help elevate your FPL game. Now, let's move over to the big screen. And that's going to do it for our Game Week 13 deadline. Alonso's in, Jota's in, Chilwell's out, as well as Mbomo. So hopefully we can get some good returns from them. We're 8 places off the top 1K, which is just crazy to think about. So hopefully we can continue to do that. Thank you all for joining in on the stream. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we're going to be doing more and more streams more often now because it's the Christmas period. So make sure to check that out. I think I'm going to try, if I remember, to repost what the schedule is going to look like because I have it in a spreadsheet. And it's just basically streams from now until pretty much Christmas, basically. And no videos, if any at all. But what we'll try to do is cover a lot of the stuff on the streams rather than having to do videos for them because it's quick turnaround. So like we have the deadline stream today. We're doing the preview stream for Game Week 14 tomorrow, the deadline stream on the Monday because I can't do it when it's midweek yet until I go on vacation. So we're going to check that all out as well. And then it's going to be deadline stream as per normal for the Game Week 15 and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, make sure to check it all out. Check out the socials, all that sort of stuff. And until the next one, take care.